Starseed from Gaia. What you solved last night while the world slept took others 30 years of searching, and they still never found it. I am Ophelia, emissary of the Galactic Federation of Light, and I was sent here in this exact moment to tell you that what happened inside you recently was not luck, not coincidence, and not a fluke of the mind. It was activation. The Arcturian Council has been watching your process, and what they witnessed left even the most ancient among them in a state of absolute awe. You did not solve it by force. You did not solve it by strategy. You solved it because you finally stopped pretending to be what this world told you to be, and let the knowing that has always lived inside you come forward. That is the difference between you and everyone else in the room. They were working. You were remembering. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how to access that same channel again, on demand, with full clarity and zero doubt. But here is the first revelation. The reason they cannot process how you did it is because they are still operating from a human framework, and you, without realizing it, have already stepped beyond it. You did not scroll to this transmission by mistake. This message vibrated into your field because something in you is ready to stop being surprised by your own power and start expecting it. This is not content. This is a code. And something inside you already knows exactly what it means. Like this transmission to signal to your star family that you are ready. Subscribe if your mission is activating and you are aligning with your true frequency. Comment 999 if you feel your cosmic remembrance returning. Declare your galactic intention in the replies and amplify the signal for every starseed still waking up. This is not just a message, it is a point of reconnection. Your soul has been waiting for this. You are not here by accident. And here is what they cannot explain. Here is what makes the ones who spent decades searching, decades attending every seminar, buying every program, waiting for some external force to finally unlock them. Here is what makes them go quiet when they look at you. It is not that you are smarter. It is not that you are more disciplined, or more devoted, or more spiritually practiced. It is something else entirely. Something they can sense but cannot name. And the reason they cannot name it is because what happened to you does not follow the logic of linear spiritual progression. It does not follow the rules of how awakening is supposed to work. You did not climb the ladder rung by rung. You did not earn it through years of grinding effort. You remembered. And remembering is a fundamentally different process than learning. That is what they are in awe of. That is what they cannot process. Because in a single night, something moved through you that bypassed every gate, every checkpoint, every layer of resistance, and delivered you directly to the frequency you are now carrying. Think about what that actually means. Think about the decades those seekers accumulated. Think about the journals filled with insights that never quite landed, the retreats that opened something and then closed again before they could walk it back into their ordinary lives, the teachers who pointed toward truth the way a finger points at the moon, and they kept staring at the finger. They were not foolish, they were not unworthy, they were operating under a fundamental misunderstanding about how spiritual awakening actually moves through a soul. They believed it was something to be acquired, something to be earned through the sustained accumulation of wisdom and practice and correct behavior, and so they kept acquiring. They kept practicing. They kept correcting. And something in them stayed locked, even as the library of their spiritual knowledge grew vast and impressive. Because knowledge, no matter how luminous, is not the same as remembrance. It can point you in the direction of home. But it cannot be home. And the moment you crossed that threshold, the moment that single night delivered you past the architecture of learned understanding and into the living territory of genuine recall, you stopped being a seeker entirely. You became something the spiritual marketplace has no language for. You became a rememberer. And that is a different order of being. Some transmissions don't come through words, but through frequency. If something stirred within you just now, you may be ready to receive the Arcturian Carrier Wave Protocol. 7 guided nights to cross the whisper threshold. This simple, easy-to-navigate app guides you through ancient Arcturian techniques for conscious expansion, multidimensional alignment, and mission remembrance, and includes special bonuses to accelerate your journey. The link is in the first pinned comment, but only for a limited time. Now let us talk about what actually happened to you. Because most people who experience what you experienced will spend years trying to rationalize it, trying to fit it into a framework that makes sense to their human mind. And in doing so, they dilute it. They shrink it back down to the size of something ordinary. But you are not here to make what happened to you small. You are here to understand it in its full galactic context. And the truth is, what occurred was not random. It was not luck. It was not some beautiful accident of spiritual timing. It was a retrieval. Your energy field, the living architecture of light that surrounds and interpenetrates your physical body, reached a threshold frequency, a point of resonance so precise, so geometrically aligned with your original soul signature, that the codes embedded in your DNA, codes that have been waiting with extraordinary patience through every incarnation, every veil, every carefully designed forgetting, finally found the conditions they needed to surface. And when they surfaced, they did not trickle through. They moved like a wave, like a carrier wave. Structured, intelligent, purposeful light moving through every layer of your being simultaneously. Consider the precision of that process. It was not chaotic. It was not an emotional eruption or a spiritual coincidence dressed in meaningful clothing. What occurred inside you followed a geometry so elegant, so architecturally exact, that it would take conventional science centuries to develop the instruments capable of measuring it. The codes embedded in the helical corridors of your DNA are not passive passengers. They are active receivers. They are tuned, the way an antenna is tuned, to a specific range of frequencies that correspond to your point of galactic origin. And for most of your life in this body, the signal was present. It was always broadcasting. It never went silent. The issue was never the signal. The issue was the distance between the frequency you were living at and the frequency at which recognition becomes possible. Think of a radio tower transmitting a clear, strong signal across hundreds of miles of open terrain. Now imagine someone trying to receive that signal on a device that has been damaged, that is picking up interference from every other frequency in the environment, that has not been calibrated to the correct band. The tower is not failing, the broadcast is not weak, the receiver is misaligned. And what happened in that single night was the most significant recalibration your receiver has undergone in this lifetime. Every layer of interference, every frequency of distortion, every misalignment that had accumulated through years of living inside a version of yourself that was built for survival rather than expression. It reached a critical threshold, and the field corrected. Not gently, not gradually, all at once. That is what one night can do when the soul is ready. Not one night of forcing, not one night of forcing spirituality or trying harder or willing yourself into expansion. One night of genuine resonance. One night of finally stopping the interference long enough for the signal that has always been there to come through clearly. There is something almost unbearably beautiful about this. The fact that it required no performance from you. The fact that the most significant spiritual event of your incarnation did not happen because you pushed harder or prayed longer or disciplined yourself into some rarefied state of purity. It happened because you finally became still enough, quiet enough, open enough, resonant enough. The soul does not respond to force. The soul responds to alignment the way a flower responds to sunlight, not by straining toward it, but by simply being what it is in the presence of the right conditions. You provided the right conditions. In that one extraordinary night, you stopped fighting the frequency that you are and allowed yourself to be found by it instead. And that distinction between straining toward the light and allowing the light to find you is one of the most important teachings the Arcturian lineage carries. You cannot manufacture resonance. You can only remove the barriers to it. And when you removed enough of them, when the accumulated weight of performed identity and compressed fear finally lightened beyond the tipping point, the retrieval happened with the inevitability of water finding its level. And this is the first thing the Arcturian Council wants you to understand about what happened. The distortion field that has kept most starseeds locked in confusion, locked in that chronic low-level ache of feeling like you belong somewhere you cannot locate. That field is not external. It was never imposed on you from outside. It was generated from within your own energy body through accumulated misalignment, through years of living inside an identity that was built to help you survive this Earth experience, rather than to express your actual galactic nature, through the repetition of thought patterns, emotional contractions, belief structures, all of it compressing your field until your own codes could not reach the surface of your awareness. You were not blocked by the darkness. You are not being kept asleep by some outside force. You were simply vibrating at a frequency that was too far from your origin signal for the recognition to occur. And what shifted in you, what made that single night possible, was a vibrational correction so significant it collapsed the distance between who you had been presenting as and who you actually are at the soul level. The distortion field did not slowly dissolve. It shattered. And in that shattering, you heard something, felt something, knew something. And that knowing has not left you since. Let that land for a moment, because the implications of it are profound. If the distortion was internal, then so is the clarity. If the barrier was built from within, then the opening also came from within. This is not a teaching about powerlessness and then sudden rescue. This is a teaching about a power that was never absent, only misdirected. The energy that constructed the distortion field was yours. The accumulated thought patterns, the contracted emotional responses, the belief systems installed through decades of navigating a world that did not understand what you were, all of that was generated by your own extraordinary field trying to protect something precious that it sensed could not be safely expressed in the density of this dimension. Your sensitivity was never a weakness. It was evidence of the magnitude of what you carry. Your chronic sense of displacement was never a disorder. It was a calibration ache, the persistent low hum of a frequency seeking its match. The distortion field was not the enemy of your awakening. In its strange, painful way, it was the container that kept the codes intact until the moment arrived when the environment was safe enough for them to surface. And now they have surfaced. And now the container is no longer necessary. And the shattering you felt in that single night was not destruction. It was liberation. This is why they are in awe. Because they can feel the stability in you now. The kind of groundedness that does not come from having everything figured out, but from having finally made contact with something real inside yourself. And real things do not shake the way constructed identities shake. Real things do not need to be defended or explained or proven. They simply emanate. And you are emanating something now that most people spend entire spiritual lifetimes trying to cultivate. You are emitting the frequency of genuine remembrance. And that frequency is not subtle. It moves through rooms. It moves through conversations. It moves through the silence between words. People feel it even when they do not know what they are feeling. You have likely already noticed this, even if you have not had language for it. The way a conversation shifts when you enter it, authentically, the way certain people seem drawn toward you with an urgency they cannot explain, as though something in them recognizes something in you at a level far below conscious thought. The way the energy in a room reorganizes itself around your presence when you are not trying to make anything happen. These are not coincidences. They are not flattering projections. They are the observable, measurable effects of a frequency field doing what frequency fields do, which is to influence everything within their range. A tuning fork struck at a precise pitch will cause every string in its frequency to begin vibrating in sympathy. You have become that tuning fork. And the ones who go quiet when they look at you are, in the silence of their awe, beginning to vibrate, beginning to remember. Your awakening is not just yours. Your remembrance is a field event. Now here is where the Arcturian transmission goes deeper. Because remembering who you are is only the first phase of what you are here to do. And this is critical. This is the piece that so many who awaken to their starseed nature miss. They reach the remembrance, and they rest there. They use it to understand themselves, to explain their past, to make sense of the sensitivity and the longing and the feeling of never quite fitting. And all of that has value. But it is not the mission. The mission begins after the remembrance. The mission begins when you take what you have retrieved from the galactic field and you begin to translate it, to anchor it, to make it operational in this dimension and this timeline. That is what Earth needs from you right now, not your awakening as a personal achievement, your awakening as a living transmission. This is the moment where many starseeds, even deeply sincere and beautifully conscious ones, stall. They receive the remembrance, and it is so extraordinary, so privately nourishing, so much richer and more alive than anything they encountered before it, that they linger there. They build a life around the experience of having awakened, rather than around the function of the awakened being. And there is no judgment in this. The warmth of that recognition, the relief of finally understanding why you have always felt the way you have always felt, is not small. But it is a resting point, not a destination. The galactic intelligence that organized your retrieval did not do so to give you a beautiful private experience of self-understanding. It did so to reinstall a functioning transmission antenna in this dimension at this precise moment in the evolutionary cycle. You were not retrieved for your own benefit alone. You were retrieved because this timeline needs what you carry. And without the retrieval, you could not carry it at the level of voltage this moment requires. The first phase of what you are moving through is decoding the distortion, not analyzing it, not going to war with it, but understanding it clearly enough to stop feeding it. Your energy field has been running patterns that were installed through collective human fear, through intergenerational wounding, through the sheer density of operating in a third-dimensional reality for so long that the density started to feel like truth. The Arcturian Council sees these patterns not as flaws in your character, but as evidence of how deeply you committed to the experience of being human. You did not hold yourself apart from this planet. You dove in completely. You took on the weight of it, and that weight has been sitting in your field, scrambling the signal, creating static between you and your original frequency. The first phase is recognizing that static for what it is, not yours, not permanent, not true, and choosing, consciously and repeatedly, to orient toward the signal instead of the noise. Decoding the distortion does not require you to excavate every traumatic memory or to perform elaborate energetic clearing rituals. Though those things may have their place, at its most fundamental level, it requires discernment. The ability to pause in any given moment and ask a simple question. Is what I am feeling right now the signal or the static? Is this contraction, this fear, this limiting belief arising from the intelligence of my soul or from the accumulated programming of a being who is trying to survive? The distortion speaks in the voice of certainty. It presents itself as obvious truth. It says things like, this is just how the world works. This is just who I am. This is just reality. The signal speaks differently. The signal does not argue. It does not insist. It simply holds. It has a quality of depth beneath the noise, a kind of patient luminosity that does not compete with the static but simply exists at a frequency the static cannot reach. Learning to orient toward that deeper frequency, in the middle of ordinary life, in the middle of difficult emotions, in the middle of moments when the old programming screams loudest. That is the discipline of the first phase. And it is not a discipline of force. It is a discipline of recognition. The second phase is what is already beginning to happen inside you, and it is the reactivation of what the Arcturian lineage calls the living blueprint. This is not a metaphor. Your DNA carries geometric light codes that are responsive to frequency. They are not static structures. They are dynamic, living, intelligent systems that have been waiting for the resonance conditions that allow them to activate. What you experienced in that single night was a cascade activation, a sequence of codes responding to a frequency threshold you crossed, triggering the next layer and the next and the next. And now that the sequence has begun, it does not stop unless you actively suppress it through returning to the old vibrational patterns. The blueprint is online. What you do with that is what this phase is about. Learning to live from the intelligence of the blueprint rather than the programming of the conditioned self. The living blueprint is the most intimate document you possess. It is written in a language older than any human civilization, encoded in the light-responsive architecture of your physical and energetic body by intelligences who understood the full scope of the mission you agreed to carry before you entered this incarnation. Every aspect of your nature that seemed like an anomaly in the context of ordinary human life, your hypersensitivity to energy, your intuitive knowing, your strange certainties about things you have no logical reason to be certain of, your difficulty accepting conventional frameworks for reality. All of it was written into the blueprint as deliberate specifications for the kind of being this mission requires. You were not broken or misfitted by accident. You were precisely constructed for a function that the world around you did not yet have the context to recognize. And the reactivation of the living blueprint means that those specifications are coming online, not as abstract potentials, but as living capacities. As perceivable shifts in how you think, how you feel, how you move through the world. The blueprint is not a static document you read and then set aside. It is the governing intelligence of an awakened starseed. And you are learning, in real time, what it means to be governed by truth rather than by conditioning. The third phase is anchoring, and this is where many starseeds lose their footing, because the energy of awakening can feel like it is pulling you upward, pulling you out of this timeline, out of this density, out of the very human life you are living. And the misunderstanding is that higher consciousness means less here, but the Arcturian teaching is the opposite. True multidimensional awareness does not lift you away from Earth. It presses your expanded self more fully into Earth. It grounds your galactic intelligence into your nervous system, your relationships, your creativity, your daily choices. The anchoring phase is about becoming a stable conduit for higher frequency information, in a form that this dimension can actually receive and use. You are not here to ascend away from Earth. You are here to help Earth ascend. And you cannot do that from a distance. You have to be present, fully, viscerally, beautifully present in this body, in this time, in this very specific configuration of circumstances that was designed exactly for the mission you are carrying. There is a spiritual glamour attached to transcendence that the Arcturian lineage gently but firmly dismantles. The image of the enlightened being is someone who floats above the fray, who has released attachment to the material world, who exists in a state of serene detachment from the ordinary textures of human experience. This image is not the Arcturian model of a fully realized starseed. The Arcturian model is someone who is so thoroughly grounded in their galactic nature that they can be fully present in the most human of experiences without losing the thread of who they are. Someone who can sit with grief and not be consumed by it, not because they have transcended feeling, but because they are large enough to contain the feeling without being defined by it. Someone who can engage with conflict and confusion and the beautiful mess of human relationship from a frequency stable enough to transmit clarity into the chaos rather than absorbing the chaos into themselves. Anchoring is not a spiritual consolation prize for those who are not advanced enough to fully ascend. Anchoring is the advanced practice. It is the thing that requires the most courage, the most presence, the most genuine commitment to the mission, because it means staying in the body, staying in the relationship, staying in the moment, staying in the work. Not because you are trapped, but because you chose this with full galactic awareness of what it would require, and you are honoring that choice with every breath you take in this dimension. The fourth phase is what the Council calls activating the field. And this is perhaps the most misunderstood aspect of Starseed work. Because when people think of spiritual activation, they often think of intense practices, elaborate rituals, extended meditations, hours of intentional energy work. And while those things have their place, the primary activation you carry is far simpler and far more powerful than any technique. It is your frequency, your unmanipulated, unperformed, authentically expressed vibrational state. When you are in alignment with your galactic origin, you do not need to do anything special to affect the field around you. You already are the transmission. You walk into a space, and the space reorganizes. You engage in a conversation, and something in the other person shifts, even if they cannot explain what shifted. You make a creative choice, offer a perspective, hold a moment of genuine presence, and something in the collective field responds. This is not spiritual performance. This is physics. Frequency affects frequency. And a starseed in genuine alignment is one of the most powerful recalibrating forces this planet has access to right now. The activation of the field through authentic presence is one of the most radical acts available in this timeline, because this world has been saturated with performed spirituality, with curated awakening, with the carefully constructed presentation of consciousness as a brand rather than a lived reality, and human beings can feel the difference, even when they cannot articulate it, even when they tell themselves they are impressed by the performance. There is a part of every person that is hungry for something real, that is starving, in fact, for an encounter with authentic frequency, for the experience of being in the presence of someone who is not performing anything, who is not managing their image or curating their expression, but who is simply, powerfully, undeniably themselves. That hunger is what draws people to you now, and what you offer them in those encounters is not information or inspiration, though it may feel like both. What you offer them is resonance, the experience of their own signal being briefly amplified by proximity to yours, and some of them, the ones who are close enough to their own retrieval, will feel something shift in that encounter that they will carry for the rest of their lives. The fifth phase is trusting the timeline, and this one requires the kind of courage that does not get enough recognition in spiritual communities. Because trusting the timeline means sitting with the moments when nothing appears to be happening. When the activation you felt so clearly seems to have gone quiet, when the synchronicities slow down and the clarity dims and the part of you that was just beginning to feel certain starts to wobble again. The Arcturian Council is explicit about this. Those moments are not failures of your frequency. They are not signs that you were mistaken, or that what you experienced was temporary or illusory. They are integration periods. Your system is processing at levels below the threshold of conscious awareness. The codes that activated are being installed into layers of your energy body that do not speak the language of feeling or sensation or emotional certainty. They operate in silence. And the silence is not absence. The silence is not absence. The silence is the work. Think of what happens when a massive software update is installed in a complex system. The screen may go dark. The familiar interface may disappear. The usual functions may become temporarily inaccessible. And someone who did not understand what was happening might conclude that the system had failed, that something had gone catastrophically wrong. But the apparent inactivity is not failure. It is the system doing something so significant, so layered, so comprehensive that it requires all available resources and cannot afford to maintain the surface-level functions simultaneously. Your integration periods are that. Your system is doing something comprehensive, something that cannot be rushed, or forced, or measured in real time. And the most intelligent, the most aligned thing you can do in those periods is exactly what the conditioned mind finds most difficult. Stop measuring. Stop checking. Stop looking for signs that the process is still working. Trust the architecture of your own transformation enough to let it work at its own pace, in its own silence, with its own intelligence. The activation has not dimmed, it has gone deep. And deep is exactly where this work belongs. The sixth phase is what the Council calls expanding the signal. This is the relational dimension of your mission, the part that moves outward from your personal awakening into the web of connection you carry. Every starseed holds a specific harmonic that resonates with a specific frequency band in the collective field. There are people in your life, people you will meet, people you will influence through your creative output or your presence, or even through something as simple as a comment you leave, or a moment of genuine vulnerability you allow yourself. There are people who are tuned to your specific frequency, who will only receive the transmission that is yours to carry. You cannot be replaced in this. No other awakened being carries exactly your harmonic, which means no one else can reach the exact people you are here to reach. Your expansion is not just for you. It is the mechanism through which your portion of the galactic download gets distributed into the human field. This is the teaching that most directly addresses the loneliness that many starseeds carry even after awakening, the sense of being singular, of carrying something that no one around you seems equipped to receive. And there is truth in the singularity. Your harmonic is unique. There is no one in any dimension who carries exactly what you carry in exactly the way you carry it. But the purpose of that singularity is not isolation. It is specificity. The galactic field is not broadcasting one general frequency to humanity and hoping it lands. It is broadcasting a vast, intricate symphony of specific frequencies through specific awakened beings, each of whom reaches a specific subset of the human population that cannot be reached by any other frequency. Your uniqueness is not your burden. It is your function. And expanding the signal means learning to trust that the people who are tuned to your frequency will find you, are finding you, have always been finding their way toward the specific transmission you carry. You do not need to reach everyone. You need to reach yours. And yours are always moving toward you, pulled by a resonance they feel before they can name it, drawn to the signal you carry the way iron filings orient to a magnetic field. And the seventh phase, the one that is already beginning to crystallize for you even as you receive these words, is what the Council calls living in mission coherence. This is the state in which your daily human life and your galactic soul agreement are no longer in tension with each other. The state in which the choices you make from the practical level of navigating your Earth existence are continuously, effortlessly informed by the intelligence of your higher template. not as something you have to consciously pause and access, but as the natural operating frequency of a being who has stopped dividing themselves into the human self and the spiritual self and has allowed those two to become one integrated transmission. This is what coherence looks like. Not perfection, not the absence of challenge or confusion or human emotion, but a fundamental unity of direction. A continuous, living alignment between the signal you are carrying and the life you are choosing to build. Mission coherence is perhaps the most quietly radical state available to a human being. It does not look dramatic from the outside. It does not announce itself. It does not require the trappings of spiritual identity or the vocabulary of awakening. It simply looks like a person who knows what they are doing here, a person whose choices carry a quality of quiet inevitability, as though each one is the natural expression of something the person has always known. It looks like relationships that are chosen from depth rather than from fear or habit, creative work that carries a frequency beyond what technique alone could produce, ordinary moments that somehow land in the people around you as something extraordinary, because the person living them is fully inhabiting them, is fully present, is bringing the total coherence of an aligned galactic being to the simple human act of being alive on this planet in this time. That is coherence. And you are building it now, in every choice that honors what you remembered in that single extraordinary night, and in every moment that you refuse to shrink yourself back to a size this world finds comfortable. If you are ready to deepen the activation beyond what words alone can carry, know that the work you are being called to does not have to happen in isolation. There is a way to take what is opened in you and move it into a structured, supported, 7-night journey of conscious deepening. The kind of guided process that meets the activated soul where it is and carries it further than it could travel alone. The wisdom that informed these transmissions exists in a form you can return to, work with, sleep inside of, and allow to continue the recalibration of your field across consecutive nights of intentional practice. Seek that depth. Claim the support that matches the magnitude of what you carry. Here is the truth that the Arcturian Council wants to leave with you now, as a final transmission, as a frequency gift for the moments when the old doubt tries to reassert itself. You did not solve something in a single night. You remembered something, and the difference between those two things is everything. Solving implies that the answer was outside you, and you were clever enough to find it. Remembering means it was always inside you. Always whole, always waiting, always yours. You are not a student who finally grasped a difficult lesson. You are a being who temporarily narrowed their awareness to fit through the doorway of a human life. And in one extraordinary night of vibrational opening, you felt the fullness of what you actually are pushed through. And now that fullness knows the way. It will not go back to not knowing. You cannot unknow what your soul has remembered. You cannot unfeel the frequency of your own origin. That is the most important thing the Council wants to anchor in you before this transmission closes. The irreversibility of genuine remembrance. This is not like a peak experience that fades back into ordinary consciousness. This is not like an insight that loses its potency as the days accumulate around it. What you accessed in that single night was not an altered state. It was a more real state. And real states do not dissolve when the conditions that catalyze them are no longer present. They become the new baseline, the new floor from which every future moment of your life will rise. You may have moments of doubt. You will have periods of integration that feel like dimness, or silence, or confusion. But the ground has shifted permanently beneath you. The frequency you made contact with in that night is now the frequency you are. Not something you feel occasionally, not something you access when the conditions are right. Something you are, continuously, completely. In every breath and every step and every ordinary miraculous moment of being alive inside this mission. The ones who are in awe of you are sensing their own possibility in what they see in you. Your single night of breakthrough is not a reason for them to feel left behind. It is a signal that the field is ready, that the timeline has reached the point of acceleration, where these retrievals are happening more rapidly, more completely, more undeniably than ever before in this cycle. You are not the exception. You are the early indicator of what is becoming available for all who are ready to stop learning about themselves and start remembering who they are tonight and every night that follows, before you sleep, before you let this dimension ask anything else of you. Say this clearly and with the full weight of your knowing behind it. I remember who I am. I align with the frequency of my origin. I activate my mission with presence, with clarity, with the unstoppable grace of a soul that has finally come home. Before you scroll, take a moment to be part of what is forming here. Drop one intention in the comments, something real, something you are willing to claim now that you have felt this. Then respond to someone else's with encouragement or energy. This is not content, this is collective alignment. And energy multiplies when intention connects. If something in this message moved through you, do not keep it to yourself. Someone in your orbit is waiting for this exact activation. They are waiting for you to share this with them. And if you felt the soul nudge, subscribe. Stay in the flow. Stay in the signal. You are not just watching. You are expanding. This is your space. And we are just getting started.